was born in New York or Galveston, I don't know which.
I was born January 13th, 1927 at 3 o'clock in the morning in Seattle Providence Hospital.
I was born in Good Samaritan Hospital in Los Angeles in March 17th, St. Patrick's Day.
My mother insisted that I dance or do something physical, and I think that is one of the most important reasons that I'm alive at this point, is the fact that I've kept moving.
I remember being out on the vacant lot next to my house when I first heard my parents say that the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor, but my father, he was an air raid ward. Whenever the air raid signals went off, he would go out in the neighborhood and walk around and make sure that everyone had their lights turned off or pulled the blackout curtains across their windows.
So I'm 3.5 years old, and I decide that one day I'm going to direct traffic. And the 3.5-year-old kid gets out on the main street like this and is pointing for the cars to go through. I saw this white figure shoot out from the house. Dad was a night, he worked night shift in the railroad, in the interurbans. And I remember that I was grabbed out and we went up to the bathroom, and that's the only time she ever spanked me. Scared the dickens out of her. I was not an easy kid to raise.
Graduated from high school, I was floundering around and didn't have anything to do, and we discovered the neighborhood playhouse, which is a school of the theater, and you go for all day long for 2 years, and Martha Graham was on the staff, and Stanford Miser was the acting director, and I loved every bit of it except the acting, of which I was terrible. At the neighborhood playhouse, Gregory Peck was in my class, and Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. and John Garfield was in the class before me.
I loved the church. I mean, I loved being in worship most of all, and hearing the sermons, you know. And I just thought what a wonderful thing it would be to be able to tell people about God's love. Oh, God, who just loves us as we are and loves us too much. But I didn't see any women as ministers in those days, and thought that women, for some reason or other, couldn't become ministers.
I never quit trying to paint, and it was getting better and better and better. But it still had the sense of the amateur. In other words, I knew intuitively when I was a 17, 18-year-old kid, I had to have 4 years of training, because I could see, especially with my treatment of the human figure. And my drawing, I had tons of drawings that showed promise. I knew that I had to have the square corners knocked off my head.
After the football games, there was a party and we played Spin the Bottle. I mean, we were little young things.
I talked with him, and I walked behind him, and I told him later that I fell in love with the back of his neck. But anyway, he asked me to marry him 4 days later.
Where did I have it? And this means a lot to me. I like it the way I say it now. After all these years, my words have become fewer. And my hope is that people, or you, will go through the books of sketches, studies, paintings, drawings, and say, will you look at what he saw? Look at what he's showing us that we didn't see.
My philosophy of life is kind of embodied in this, my reflection. It kind of goes back to when I was an 8-year-old, thinking how wonderful it would be to tell people about the love of God.
I have led a charmed life. I have had everything that I ever wanted, and everybody has been very, very good to me. And I had a wonderful husband who was very good to me. No, I have had a very, very nice, good life.